Alright, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Drop Podcast. Last time, I figured out I'm actually going to the wrong place. I didn't have to do any of this. So, dang. I got this far in the game, and I didn't even have a Pokemon that needed fly. Man, so it is Labor Day. How does that feel? That feels incredible. It feels good to be off today, and I'm gonna just be eating, spend some time with family. So it's gonna be really great. I feel like family is like, I had a really good quote. So like growing up, like whenever you go through like your emotional phase, or not your emotional phase, what am I saying? Like you go through that phase where you're just very dramatic and you just want to like hang out with friends all the time and stuff like that. Well, like I remember I wanted to, like, I don't know, like I would want to go to like the mall or something, and either like my parents would stay or I just want to go, and they wouldn't let me go or something. And I remember getting like so upset about it. And also I think like middle school is upset because I've always been like a big thinker. You know what I mean? Like my mom always said I was like a little philosopher, and I would, so like I would just talk about stuff like all the time. Like I always had ideas, and so I'd always bring them up in front of people or in front of like my family, and like my sister, my older sister. She would just like, I don't know, like it would upset her for some reason. Like she would just get so pissed off by any idea that I had, and she would just like shut it down. She'd be like, okay, just whatever. And so I just like I remember just like being really really upset about it because she'd be, she'd just be being a jerk for like no reason. And I'm trying to remember exactly how it went down. So I was with my dad, or I was with my mom and my dad, and I was just like complaining. I was like, you guys don't understand me, only my friends understand me. And then my dad, he just like he said trying to think, what did he say? He was just like, oh, he said, well, whenever you do something and all your friends leave, just know that your family is gonna be the only one that's gonna just take you back with open arms. Yeah. And so that's why I feel bad for like all those people who don't have like a family like that. You know what I mean? Like every family has problems. But it's up to you whether or not you're going to how is this? It's up to you. Shoot, I keep pressing A. It's up to you how you handle those problems. You know what I mean? It's not your fault that this person does this or this person does this, but people can grow but you gotta work with them. You have to be like, a lot of people just get mad, you know what I mean? just get mad and don't do anything. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like you have to choose to want to make things better. You know what I mean? You have to choose to want your family to be together. You know, and I get it. Like, not everyone's going to be able to have that, but you know, if you just run away without trying, I think that's kind of whenever it's a problem. Or it's not like a problem, but it's just kind of like so many people talk about like their parents gave them, you know, PTSD, or I don't know, their parents suck or their family sucks. And I mean, it's just a very unhappy way to live. Like, why would you want to live with that kind of energy? I mean, it's just so much better to live a life like choosing to be happy. You know what I mean? Because it is a choice. If I'm gonna be 100% honest, I don't think it doesn't make sense to me. I've talked about this before, but it doesn't make sense to me that that like depression or anything is out of anyone's control. I 100% believe in people and their mental abilities to take ownership of their life. It's just, I don't know why people find comfort though in that lack of ownership. You know what I mean? And it's not a problem. I want to be clear. Like, one, it's none of my business. And two, it's I mean, it's not my problem. It's people's problem. You know what I mean? But it's just kind of like, why would you choose to be unhappy? And part of the reason why people choose that is because they don't know that they have a choice in the first place. And if you don't, and so I kind of feel like that's kind of like where I find my importance, that, you know, I gotta let people know that there is a choice. You don't have to be enslaved to your emotions. Like, I remember I was raised Catholic, so we do this thing called Lent, which, if you don't know the Bible, basically what happened, or basically like the reason why, is Jesus, the like main figure of Christianity, at some point went into the desert for 40 days without food or water, and just like went through all this temptation and just sort of like a cleansing phase. Like, that was like the phase before he kicked into high gear and like took action, or took major action. And so we do this thing called Lent, sort of to participate in that suffering in some kind of way, even though it's become way, way, way less. Because basically all you have to do is just pick something that like you like. Like, let's say like you like to drink soda. Give up soda for Lent. You know what I mean? Like this year, even though I'm not necessarily like a hardcore like believer or anything, like I still think it's a really great practice to sacrifice something. But so anyway, so this year I fasted every Friday. So I started, like, let's say I finished dinner at 8 on that Thursday night. I wouldn't eat till 8 that next Friday. I mean that Friday, the following day. And oh yeah, and so then, but the year before that, the year prior, like I said, I've always been very, very reflective, and so I decided on that month to give up being angry, and without even like question, like this one person I told, he just goes, "Oh, it doesn't work like that. Yes, it does. But you know what? You know where he is now? Now, we just recently had a conversation. Now he's on the complete opposite mindset. Like, now he realizes that, you know, everything is a choice. It's up to you on how seriously you take it. You know what I mean? Like, with anything, with anything, it's really something that, you know, if you let it get to you, or if you allow your emotions to take over, then, you know, that's gonna be a reality. You know, how you think is your reality. So if you think that your emotions are in control, that's gonna be your reality. And that's why I think that the whole idea of depression being something that you can't control and need medication to fix is a problem, because if you think it, that's your reality. And not only that, but you stop trying to fix it. You just take a drug, and if that drug works, then, I mean, that's great. You know what I mean? Although I feel like people shouldn't be, because I feel like that's kind of a slavery in itself. If you need a drug to live a quote-unquote normal life, or just live a life without, you know, those struggles, a struggle is a part of life, you know what I mean? It's just a part of growth. But anyway, that's besides the point. I guess basically what I'm trying to say is there's no, like, moral dilemma with taking depression, as far as I know, or with taking depression pills to keep you happier. And actually, sometimes I would support it. You know, sometimes I feel like, Jay Shetty said it best. He said, sometimes you need to, if your house is on fire, the first thing you need to do is get out, and then go back and fix it. But it's that, and then go back and fix it part that people forget, and that's kind of what I disagree with, because you're always going to be enslaved to this pill, and eventually this pill either stops working very well, or you get side effects. Like, I know a few people, and I haven't researched this, so this is just all from my experience, but I know a few people that have taken it and, like, started hearing voices, and it's so weird to me, but I mean, if that's the case, like, that's just how those drugs are, then, I mean, 100% that's a problem, and you probably shouldn't take them, and our focus should be less on you know, drugs fixing our depression, more on how do you mentally choose to be happy. You know what I mean? How do you fix it yourself? How do you become better yourself? And it's so weird to me. Like, I just want to bring up this point. It's so strange to me that is a hot topic for people. Whenever you walk up to them and you say, look, depression is a choice, that's empowering. But people are so sensitive about it. It's like they want to believe so hard that they can't control it. And I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's not my problem. It's not my dilemma. I mean, it does, and here's why I care so much. Because, like, so many people in my life are like that. You know what I mean? I care about people in my life. So it does become a challenge whenever it's like every single day, you know, people come to me with these issues, like, and it's this, like, I mean, like, same person every single day, always dealing with something, and then it's like I try to tell them, it's like, look, you have a choice, and people get upset. I don't get it. Wouldn't you rather have a choice? And it's just like, people, I think the reason why is because people like to think that they're intelligent, you know what I mean? Because they know a lot of facts that are spoon-fed to them through a textbook that someone else had to figure out, you know what I mean? And people think that knowing facts makes them smart. And I think people are mistaken in that way, because it's not knowing facts that makes you smart. It's about understanding how those facts, understanding the thought process behind finding those facts. It's understanding the way that things work so that you can migrate through the system and sort of break rules. You know what I mean? It's like playing guitar. You can self-teach yourself guitar, you know? Like, you don't need to know anything about guitar, and if you put your fingers down and sort of figure out, like, what things sound good, like, you might start off just playing notes, and then you might start off just laying down a whole bunch of fingers and finding imaginary chords that you created. And you could sound good, and you might think that you're good, you know what I mean? But there is a certain level, like, you can tell whenever someone is really, really good. And part of being really, really good is understanding why doing what you do on your guitar does what it does. And it allows you so much freedoms to break rules and play much more smoother and migrate just through your guitar. It's like if your guitar is a maze, it allows you to kind of cut corners and hop over the bushes. I don't know, whatever mazes are made. Hedges, is that what they're made out of? Like, it just allows you to cheat in that way. But also, it's almost like having a map of that maze, and you're just migrating through that map, using that map. With shortcuts, you know what I mean? And it allows you so much more freedom. Now, of course, there's like a mental to it also. Like sometimes you'll be playing and you'll get stuck doing the same things, but in those cases, typically you just gotta change your mental about it. But yeah, like, wouldn't you want in your life that same sense of control? You know, that same sense of options and opportunity? And that's why I just don't understand. Like, one, the quality of your life would be so much better if depression was a choice. Oh yeah, but I was saying this. I think people are so sensitive about that. Like, the reason why they deny it so much is because, for a second, psychology, the study of psychology, did support the fact that, or did support, for a little while, that depression is more of a mental disease, something that just happens, than something that you have a control over, a sense of control. Which is not necessarily the case as much anymore. And people would know that if they studied it, but the problem is a researcher will do a study and find some piece of information, share it on whatever platform or other people share it, and then people listen to the politics of it. People listen to the politics of the science, not the actual science. People listen to people's thoughts on these studies, or, you know, just take some idea and just run with it, you know, without any thought process behind it. Like, oh, how did they get to this idea? Like, why did they think, or why is this true? You know, whenever you study that, you start to see that there's some aspects to it that could have other answers. And it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Because the reason where, like, some of this came from, as far as, like, or some of the ideas that depression is, some of the ideas that depression is a mental thing, or not a mental thing, that depression is a physical, like, disorder that you can't control, is because whenever your body, whenever you feel an emotion, is because your body is releasing a chemical, right? And so I think that's kind of like the origins of, oh, it's the chemical, you know what I mean? It's the chemical that makes you feel this way. And sometimes if your body, for some reason, just releases this chemical without any, like, just keeps releasing it, or it doesn't release enough of this chemical, you know, and sometimes you can't control if your body is going to release this much of a chemical. But let's talk about a little bit about just something that I see where I think there's a big misunderstanding. So as far as releasing those chemicals go, the way it works, from my limited knowledge that I read from a psychology textbook, is your brain has like these little receptors, kind of similar to like RNA. Like there's just like little either like holes or it's like something that sticks out, and like this chemical will be released and just like floating around, and then it gets attached to, like, as it's floating around, it gets attached to one of these like receptors, or one of these receptors. And I'm just thinking about that idea. It's so random. Like, how can you have any control? Like, there's just like these chemicals that go out and then get attached to a receptor. But it's so much by chance. Like, you can't control that chemical getting attached to that receptor. You know what I mean? Like, that's just something that if it gets attached, it gets attached. And I'm bringing this up. I'm not saying that emotion is not controllable. Actually, I'm saying the opposite. I think emotion is controllable. But the point I'm trying to make is that we don't know everything about feeling those emotions. We don't have all the information, and thus we cannot give 100% justified information on how we feel these emotions. Because we can see it, but we don't fully understand it. It's like math. You know what I mean? You can see that in a way, like, there's some kind of like imaginary number, but we don't know what that means. You know what I mean? I mean, we do, but before we didn't. It was just kind of, you know, what's going on here? Yeah, but like, because we're only seeing on one dimension, right? Or I guess like the second dimension, because it'd be two axes. But we're only seeing that much. What we're missing, you know, if you think about like a parabola, and you have two x's, right? Two x values. What are you actually looking at? To you, it just looks like, well, it's just a two dots on the plane. You know what I mean? But what does that actually mean? Because there's a geometry there that we don't realize, right? If you study, you know, deeper into algebra, you start to realize that there's another axis. There's a z-axis, right? And once you look at that z, you start to realize that there's a 3D object here. There's a three-dimensional object that we are not seeing. That's fascinating. There's a 3D object. We, what am I trying to say? Wow, that really sucks. The alarm really had to go off right now. So I had to read for 1 second. Okay. So I was just saying, there's a 3D object. That's magnificent. You would never, ever guess that. But it's incredible that in a way we can kind of picture, you know, what it'd be like to live on one plane by using math. Because to live on one plane is to only see a slice of is to just see a slice of something, of an object. It's like if I don't know, if like your vision was flat and all you saw was just this little piece. Like, let's say you take a circle. If you slice that circle in half, if you were living on one plane, you would only see shoot, that's a bad example. I guess it's more like if you took a slice and then went like a centimeter up, then you would see like that very thin slice. That's all you're seeing. That very thin slice of that circle. But you're seeing those. But what you are seeing is those the edges of that slice. You know what I mean? And then look at this. This gets really cool too. So you only see that super thin slice. And then if you just like change the equation just a little bit, like add 4 to it, now your slice is moving up just a little bit, and now you're seeing this slice a little bit up. I guess I'm trying to think. It might. I mean, not that it's super important. Like, you guys get the idea, but I'm just thinking, like, as far as the equation goes, how would you move that up? Because I feel like if you think about it, if you just have like the y and x axis, and you add 4 to that y, it would just move your slice up. So you would just be seeing more up and less down of that slice that you took. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you wouldn't be seeing the full, like, let's say like where you are, like let's say like this circle at its thickest point has like a radius of like 4. If you moved up 1, now you would see 3 at the bottom. You would just see like I mean like the circle would change, so you don't see the full radius of 4. You see, now if you go down, you only see up to 3. So it'd be -3 to +5 on the x, but it only has a radius of 4, so now you'd just be seeing 3 to or not 3 to I guess if it has a radius of 4, it'd be like 2 to 2. So actually, yeah, so you'd be seeing 1 to 2 of the circle, and then that third line would just be like empty space. So I don't know. How would you migrate up the circle? Like, how could you move that plane up a level? Not really sure, but that's besides the point. It's just super fascinating to think about. And so think about it this way. So we have this axis, right? And we're only seeing the edges of it. Now if you make it 3D, is that the limit? You know what I mean? See, here's where I get confused, because I cannot seem to picture 4 dimensions. I can picture 3 dimensions, you know, but I can't understand how 4 dimensions make sense. Like, people like to say, oh, it's time. Doesn't really make sense. Time? So like, watching something decay is seeing 4 dimensions? No. It's a geometry. I don't think time is part of geometry. And I know Einstein, like, people say, well, Einstein would say different. No. Einstein is saying something different. He's not saying time necessarily makes an object. And I should say, so I shouldn't say that. I should say maybe that's what he means. I just don't fully understand it. It doesn't make sense to me right now. Because thinking about it, his whole relativity thing is more like there's this big sheet in space, and the sheet is made up of space and time being photons, you know what I mean, what you can see as things go on. Because if you think about it, time really is, in regards to space, just how old or young that light that you're looking at is. That source of light is. And light is photons. Like, photons is a little packet of energy that we see as light. And so, it's not necessarily that time will create like a circle. No, it's more like on this sheet, it can be like time is. That's difficult. It's just difficult because you can bend what you see. You know, you can bend, and you can see that by like if you look like off to the corner of like the sun, which I mean you physically can't, but like people who do it, you know, if you look off just like a little bit, you can see like it's kind of warped in, like it looks like it's going inward a little bit. And so it does, I guess, kind of create some type of geometry, but it's not necessarily like, it's not like decaying, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm kind of thinking about time wrong, because right now I'm thinking about time as like relative to the cycle of life, you know what I mean? Like biological conditions that change, which I guess isn't how you should think about light. If you're thinking about light as far as photons, I guess it can be bent into some type of geometry. So I guess, I don't know, I guess that does make sense. Still, I think there's a lot of things that Einstein said that we don't fully, that we just kind of accept, you know what I mean? Without really knowing, because he's so famous in the science community, like we just kind of take it at face value, I feel. But I don't know, I mean, I digress. It's just really, really neat to think about. And I forgot, what was the original thing that, like, where did this discussion come from? Started off with, I know we were talking about depression at some point, and, like, choice. Oh, and then we got in, like, the science community. Man, I swear, I go through, I don't know how I ever get any ideas out, because everything is, like, constantly changing and moving. Wow, though. Oh yeah, our thin slices. And I want to finish this idea because I think it's kind of important, you know what I mean, just to discuss like our reality. But thinking about it, like here's what I want to get to. So, you know, when they say like the fourth dimension is time, I don't really know. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to make sense of it. Whatever. But to just think about, about the idea that you know, if you're on a 2D plane, like I said, you're just seeing a slice of that circle. Now if you add a Z dimension, now you're seeing the full circle. But are we seeing the full circle? You know what I mean? We think we're seeing the full circle. But is that full circle just a point, just a slice of an actual object that we're looking at? And now apply that to real life. What if we are only seeing a slice of reality? Just slices, a whole bunch of slices of reality. You know what I mean? Fascinating idea. Just to think. I think it's incredible. I think it's beautiful. Like, and it opens up so much possibility for like imagination. Like, what are we really seeing? Like what? Like so what? Like part of the geometry. The same way that if you're on a 2D plane, you're only seeing a slice. You know, are we only seeing we only seeing like a circle of whatever object? You know what I mean? Like, are all objects circles? You know what I mean? I don't know, but it's something really, really neat, really cool to think about. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think that, life really looks like? You know what I mean? And I don't know, like, if there's any theoretical physicist that knows. Like, I saw this theory, I forgot what it's called. It's called like E8 or something, because it's supposed to be like 8 dimensions, and that's supposed to like explain all of life. You know what I mean? Because the string theory is, I guess, starting to die out. I just don't know how much sense that makes. You know what I mean? Because I'm failing to comprehend 4 dimensions. So how can I even comprehend 8? Just doesn't. I don't know. It's not adding up to me. Yikes. But yeah, I mean, anyway. So just before, because I'm gonna start wrapping this up, but before I go, just some, I guess, quick updates. So I've been doing, I think I've upgraded the audio, and I've sort of figured out like a better system for recording these that, sounds better. I've also, I'm looking into, there we go. So I've also been doing 3 episodes a week now. And I think I've only done this the past week, but if you guys enjoy that more, because I personally, I think I do. I like it better. And I also feel like my views have gone up, so I think you guys do too. But I'm also coming to an end with this game, and so I don't know. Would you want to see more games, or maybe just to try it out, just me talking for a second? I'm open for anything. Like, I'll do whatever, but what you guys want to see, I want to show you. You know what I mean? Also, if you guys don't know, like, I opened up a Patreon, and so if you want to show some support, you can do that through there. And I'm uploading like free beats that I've created onto my website, so if you want to check that out, that is also on my that would be located on, trying to figure out the right Pokemon. That would be also on my website. There's like a little section that says beats, so you can definitely check that out if you are interested. Trying to think if there's anything else. So this week, of course, Labor Day. Super excited about Labor Day. Super happy. I hope you guys are going to do something incredible. I'm going to upload this, and as soon as I upload this, I am going to enjoy my Labor Day. My family has pulled pork, so I'm gonna have some pulled pork. Super delicious. Before I sort of wrap this fully up, there is one small thing that I kind of want to talk about. So I heard this really, really good quote from one of my friends, and they say, they were asking me about work, and I was like, oh, it's good, but I'm trying to get out. And she was like, that's good, be smarter than us, work to get out of work. And I was like, dang, that's a quote. Like, that's a really, really good quote. Work to get out of work. That's incredible. So now, I want to leave you guys off with that one, and I think it's perfect because it's Labor Day. this is a great way to. Oh man, I thought I could take a nap. It's a great way to sort of finish this up. So anyway, like I said, I always say, if you guys want to show me some support, you can go to my website, and I have a few ways that you can do that. My website, joshuatbryan.com. And then you can also, I have music, so you can find that there. If you want to listen to my beats or work with me, maybe if you want me to produce you some beats or produce you a song, we could definitely do that. If you just go to my website, you can contact me. If you scroll down, or just go to contact me with the 3 bars. And also, like, if you want to look at my music, I have a section for that on the main page. And then also I have a book that I wrote, if you want to check that out. If you want to donate, there's a few options. Then you can also, if you want to donate and then get a little extra something, if you go to my Patreon page, there's some extra bonus stuff that you can get there. But anyway, so with that all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next Wednesday for the drop episode, or next Thursday for the next episode of the Drop Podcast. So that all being said, I am going to check you guys later.